We all know that there are 7 different denominations of US cash: $1, $2, $5, $10, $20, $50, and $100. Back in the day, there were 2 widespread denominations of the American currency, the $1 and the $20. But this situation has changed in recent years, specifically since 2017. According to US Federal Reserve data, the $100 is the most prevalent denomination of American currency in the world today. And what's interesting about it is that about 80% of this printed denomination is traded outside of America. And this is a very bad sign because the $100 is often used in financial crimes and other illegal activities. In short, this currency paper is the one that criminals around the world use most often. They like to use it because it makes it easier for them to store and move their illegal money. However, the fact that this paper is used a lot could be a sign that crime is getting worse. So, what's the solution? And how can the United States stop criminals from using the $100 bill, which makes their crimes much easier? Lawrence Summers, the former U.S. Treasury Secretary and Director of the U.S. National Economic Council, provided an opinion piece in the Washington Post that addressed this issue. He said that America should completely stop printing the $100 bill, and they should take the same decision as the European Union did and stop printing 500 euro bills. But despite all these warnings, the Americans did not do so. Despite all this, to this day, the US has not moved in the same direction as the European Union. The question remains, is it possible for America to cancel the $100 bill or even stop printing it, as it did before with other denominations? Is this step really possible? And if it happened, would it have any benefit? And the most important question remains, why is this particular currency paper what criminals prefer the most? In December 2006, the Mexican police confiscated a very important shipment before it entered the country through the largest port in Mexico, the port of Lázaro Cárdenas. This shipment consisted of 19.5 tons of pseudoephedrine, which is used in the manufacture of methamphetamine. As soon as this shipment arrived, the Mexico Public Prosecutor's Office opened an investigation in order to find out what the story of this shipment was and whom it was going to. And after nearly 3 months, specifically in March 2007, the Mexican police stormed the mansion of the Chinese-Mexican businessman Zhenli Yigan, who is located in Mexico City. The raid was based on information that the man was running a drug gang and that he was working for a pharmaceutical company as a front for his criminal activity. Once the police entered the palace, they were surprised that there was a mountain of money in one of the rooms, 2 tons of American currency papers stacked on top of each other. And the remarkable thing was that all of this money was of one denomination only, which is the $100 denomination. In total, the money that was stacked on the ground was worth $207 million US, which is a very huge number. The money that the Mexican police found in this palace was, at the time, the largest amount of cash that any government could find with a single criminal in history. Before that, no one anywhere in the world had this much money all in one place. This incident caused a revival of the controversy about the feasibility of having the $100 in the American currency denominations, especially since this denomination, in particular, is not widely spread in the monetary circulation within the United States, meaning that the Americans in their daily monetary dealings don't deal too much with the $100 bill. On the contrary, the one that dominates the transactions of those involved in criminal activities, especially outside the United States, is the $100 bill. And let me explain to you why this paper is so widespread among criminals. In general, people involved in criminal activities prefer to stay away from the banking system because within the banking system, it is possible to easily track the movement of money. And on this basis, cash appears as the preferred payment mechanism and, at the same time, the best way to keep money. Thus, we agreed that for the criminal, cash is the best payment method because it is the safest and least likely to be tracked. The question now remains, which cash exactly? Meaning, if a criminal will take his money in cash, do you think he will take it in which currency? The answer to this question is quite simple. He will absolutely accept it in the form of the currency of the world, because everybody accepts it, and at the same time, its value does not fluctuate. Moreover, the US dollar, as we know, controls the vast majority of transactions in international markets. Cash, in the end, has a physical form, and in order to move it from one place to another, you must pay attention to two important factors. The first is the weight, and the second is the size. If it is a $20 bill, the weight of the $1 million will be approximately 50 kilograms, and in order to move this amount, we will need 4 regular bags from those who usually carry the money. As for the $1 million, if it is a $50 bill, then the weight of the amount will be 20 kilograms, and we will need 2 bags to transport it. The $1 million, if it's formed from papers worth $100, its weight will not be more than 10 kilograms, and you can carry this amount in 1 bag. Lightweight and small sizes help the person transfer money from one place to another and keep it without being detected, which is why criminals prefer to deal in large cash denominations, specifically the $100 category. And as an attempt to besiege criminal activity and restrict it, some people, including former U.S. Treasury Secretary Lawrence Summers, are suggesting that America completely stop printing the $100 bill, especially since this paper is already used outside America more than America itself. In 2018, the Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago published a research paper estimating that there are 12 billion US $100 bills in circulation, with 80% of those bills being outside of the United States. The former U.S. minister, in his question to demonstrate the importance of the step he proposes, referred to a very important research paper issued in 2016 by one of the centers affiliated with Harvard University, saying, "The denominations of high banknotes, such as the $100 in America, the 500 euros in Europe, the 1,000 francs in Switzerland, and the 50 pounds sterling in Britain, are the preferred payment mechanisms for those involved in criminal activities, such as corruption, tax evasion, money laundering, terrorism, and human and drug trafficking. And on this basis, the suggestion was that the governments responsible for these categories abolish them in order to curb these criminal activities. And if this happened, it would be a big blow to those who work in these activities." Meaning, if we take drugs as an example as the largest source of income in the world of organized crime, we will find that the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime says, the proceeds of drug trafficking are worth between 0.4 and 0.6% of the global GDP, which is roughly equivalent to between $300 and $450 billion. The overwhelming majority of the drug trade takes place in the markets of North America and Europe, and transactions in these markets are carried out with cash only. To make it simpler to conceal, drug dealers transport this cash across the border in large denominations. According to U.S. Customs and Border Protection, there are between $20 and $30 billion in cash from drug money that is transferred annually between America and Mexico, and we can say that almost all of this money is in the $100 category. In 2002, the euro began trading in Europe as a new currency for European countries that joined together in what is known as the Eurozone. Europeans made euros in the form of coins and banknotes. The important thing is that the banknotes were in 7 denominations: 5, 10, 20, 50, 100, 200, and 500. The 500 euro note, when it appeared, was like a treasure for the outlaws because this paper was then one of the most expensive banknotes in the world. The value of the 500 euros was more than 5 times the value of the highest denomination in American currency, which is the $100 denomination, which makes the possession and transfer of large quantities of money from hand to hand and from country to country using this denomination much easier. If the million euros is in 500 euro bills, its weight will be 2.2 kilograms. In this way, you can carry the million euros in your hand or in a laptop bag. However, the European Central Bank decided in 2016 that they would completely stop printing this bill, starting at the end of 2018. In January 2019, the banks of the Eurozone stopped distributing the 500 euros, with the exception of the German Central Bank and the Austrian Central Bank, who preferred to distribute this paper to their clients until April of the same year. What encouraged the European Central Bank to take this step is that this paper was almost unused in cash trading. According to a survey by the European Central Bank, which was done in 2011, 56% of European Union citizens have never seen the 500 euro note before. The question now remains, can America make the same move with the $100 bill? Before I answer this question, there are 2 points. The first is that the former U.S. Treasury Secretary is not the first official to suggest abolishing the $100 or stopping its printing. In 1986, when the U.S. Treasury Department was redesigning U.S. currency categories to make them less susceptible to counterfeiting, the mayor of New York at the time, Edward Koch, demanded that the then U.S. President, Ronald Reagan, cancel the $100 bill in order to fight drug dealing. The second point, which many may not know, before that, America had cash denominations of $500, $1,000, $5,000, and $10,000. And on July 14, 1969, the U.S. Treasury and Federal Reserve made the decision to cancel it. Moreover, they had a banknote worth $100,000 US, but this was not allowed to be circulated outside the banks, so it was not used by individuals. After the abolition of these categories during the period of the Financial Services Committee in the U.S. House of Representatives, it discussed the possibility of reintroducing some of them again, but according to Larry Felix, the former head of the Bureau of Engraving and Printing, he objected to this move, because for him it would be easier to discover criminals if they had to transport their money in many and large bags. And this point brings us back again to the question we asked a while ago. Is America able to cancel the $100 bill as a way of restricting the criminals who use it? And the short answer to this question clearly and explicitly is no. These are the words of the American officials themselves when there was a lot of talk in 2016 about the $100 bill. A spokeswoman for the U.S. Treasury Department told the Wall Street Journal that the U.S. government has no intention of canceling the $100 bill or stopping its printing. And this is the opinion of the Treasury Department, the Federal Reserve, and the Drug Enforcement Administration. The reason for their adherence to this paper is simply that it's very important for the whole world, and withdrawing it will have great effects on many countries outside the United States that use this paper. In short, no one will cancel the $100 due to its role in stabilizing the status of the American currency as an international reserve currency. Global central banks compete to hoard it. However, there is another reason related to the cost. We are now talking about 12 billion bills of $100 in circulation. In order to withdraw it and put an alternative to it, they would need to print 24 billion bills of $50, and the cost of this alternative will be very high, 26.6 cents. A clear difference is close to 10 cents per unit of paper. However, the cost point remains a minor one, given that the idea was not originally proposed. And here I finished my words, and I have a question for you. If there is a possibility that you can choose to receive your salary in one of 2 currencies, the US dollar or the Chinese yuan, which currency would you choose to receive? I will read all your answers in the comments. In the end, I hope you liked this video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and see you in the next video.